Coming up on tonight's This Week in Politics.
I tell you what, the issue is going to be who, not only who can win this, but who's the best person to lead the country. And that's what it's going to be all about. And it's going to be for the voters to decide that.
After months of wait-and-see speculation, former Vice President Joe Biden formally enters the 2020 race for the White House, sparking an immediate reaction from the president. We've got that story coming up. Good evening, everyone. I'm Brian Allen. Thank you very much for being with us here on this Sunday night. We begin this evening with former South Dakota gubernatorial candidate Billie Sutton. The Democrat was the runner-up to Kristi Noem in last November's election by a margin of more than 11,000 votes, making it the closest governor's race in more than 3 decades. He has now decided what he is going to do next as he continues an effort to bring change to South Dakota. Billie Sutton is seen as the rising star of the South Dakota Democratic Party, having served in the state Senate and then as the party's flag bearer in the 2018 gubernatorial election. While that loss 5 months ago was disappointing, it provided the framework for a new project that Sutton is now sinking his teeth into.
It was pretty soon after the election. I can't remember the exact day, but we were sitting around with our team kind of talking about the race and talking about how, we were hoping to be in elected office to have an impact, and now I won't be, and so how do we continue to have an impact? And we just got to thinking about, good leaders can have an impact in their community.
Sutton wanted to know where those leaders would come from and who would provide them with the training needed to give them the insight to allow them to be more effective.
How do we help build the next generation of leaders? And really that's where the idea sprung from, is to help people have the tools and the ability to have an impact in their community in a positive way.
And so Sutton developed the Billie Sutton Leadership Institute. He tells me the months he spent on the campaign trail crisscrossing South Dakota allowed him to tap into the feelings of voters from different political spectrums. And he says while many may have had different political beliefs, many of them also shared a common frustration.
One of the things we saw in the race is that it just seemed like people were tired of politics as usual. They're tired of us versus them mentality, and they really want people that can get things done. And we get things done by working together. And that's really what this leadership is going to focus on. And it doesn't have to be elected office or that you're going to run for office. It could be, we're going to give everybody a project that they get to choose to take back to their community to complete. And so there's going to be work involved.
The first class of this Leadership Institute will consist of 10 to 12 people who can nominate themselves or someone else on the Institute's website, suttonleadership.org. May 6th is the application deadline. Once the first class is selected, then the program will kick in.
You bring in speakers and programs, and then we're going to every month check in with them, make sure that they're meeting their goals and their targets, and then we'll have digital meetups every other month, and then we're going to have 2 in-person meetings as well.
So what kinds of problems can this Leadership Institute work to solve? I asked Sutton what is the real-world application of this program, and he gave me this example.
One of the individuals that was talking to me about applying said, we have a housing problem in our town. I want to find a solution for it. Well, we can help connect them with people. We can help teach them the skills to communicate effectively and to put a plan together, to think creatively about how they're going to have an impact.
While talking with Sutton, I asked him about how he will identify those who would really benefit from this program and, by extension, work to benefit others around them. And he told me something interesting. He said it has been his experience that leaders very rarely say no when presented with an opportunity or a challenge.
It's, to me, a lot about saying yes. Like when I first ran for office, it never crossed my mind until somebody asked me. If I'd have said no, just think how much that would have changed, how far I've been able to come in my political career and then in just life in general. And so I think we're really encouraging people to say yes to things that they're passionate about and to pick something that they think they can have an impact.
Given that the idea for this Leadership Institute came not too long after the end of Sutton's race for governor, I asked him if he felt this was a natural progression of his political career, an outlet for him to be involved in something meaningful and successful. He says although he lost the governor's race, he says he feels his campaign was a success and that he wants to use that momentum in a positive way.
I think what made it successful to me was even after we lost, the election was over, the incredible amount of support and outpouring of hope that we received from people. I was a little concerned that people would be kind of down about the results. But we had just a ton of our supporters that were, for the first time in a long time, felt like they had a voice, and that it was a different voice than they'd been hearing for a long time. And I think that made it successful to me.
And being involved in something like this, helping others shape public policy in their home communities, also keeps Billie Sutton visible and politically viable for the future. In 2020, Dusty Johnson's term will be up in the U.S. House, as will Mike Round's term in the United States Senate. Is it possible Sutton has his eye on one of those seats? When I asked Sutton if he is getting ready to run for office again, he didn't say yes or no.
But we're not closing any doors. I mean, we'll see what the future holds. But right now, I'm enjoying spending time with family and working on this project to help other leaders to figure out so that they can step up and lead in their community, and to build a bench of people that are going to put people over politics.
Former Democratic State Senator and gubernatorial candidate Billie Sutton. Up next on This Week in Politics.
You in your message very clearly made this about a debate about President Trump, but you're going to have to get through the Democratic primary first. Why are you the best choice for Democrats?
That'll be for the Democrats to decide.
He's in. Former Vice President Joe Biden steps into the ring for the 2020 presidential election, a race where he has been seen as the frontrunner even before he entered. That's next on This Week in Politics. Keep it right here on KSFY.